All right. Welcome, reptile enthusiast. You're stepping into a vibrant world of Geckoverse. As you guys know, I am Jennifer, and joining me is our main host, Joe. Today, we've got a special treat for you all. Joining us are two distinguished guests who are particularly probably household names in the gecko community at this point. Josiah, stop laughing at me. Anyways, first up, we have Josiah with Leopard Geckos Only. Sharing his wealth of knowledge and passion for these mesmerizing creatures. And then alongside Josiah joining us, we have Scott with Noble Family Fauna, bringing his expertise and love for geckos to our virtual table. Whether you're a season keeper or just dipping your toes in the reptile realm, sit back, relax, get ready, and enjoy the fascinating world of geckos. And thank you. Let's bring the guys on.
That was awesome, Jen. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome, Joe. You're welcome.
All right, so
Put me on the spot.
yeah, let's get right into
Welcome,
it.
guys.
I want to welcome. Obviously, we've never had Scott on before. How you doing, man?
Hey.
Yeah, I actually owe you a thank you. We had Peter Melton scheduled for today. He had something that personal that's going on, and Scott, he's a good friend, always willing to bail somebody out and help them out.
If that's the only way,
I have you.
Sorry.
That's cool.
Yeah, last minute too, right? Josiah, man, how you been?
Good. How are you?
Doing okay. So you've introduced yourself on here a couple of times. I'm going to go ahead and Scott, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your handle and your hobby?
Breeding animals, leopard geckos. Yeah. That's about it. Noble Family Fauna, Instagram primarily. I don't really play on Facebook too much. Yeah, that's it. Well, glad to be here. Answer any questions. I won't have any answers.
You're not prepared on last minute podcast visits?
Even if I had a week to prepare, I wouldn't be.
Got it. All right, so then let's just make it easy on everybody then. Mike Tyson or Jake Paul? Where are we at, Josiah? Let's see it.
All right, so here's the thing. No matter what happens, Jake Paul loses.
Yeah,
so either he gets beat up by the greatest boxer ever, or he beats up a 60-year-old man. So he loses in any case.
Yeah, and somebody called him out recently about it being a gimmick fight, and he turned it on the guy. I felt bad for the guy, but it is a gimmick fight. Not that Mike Tyson is a gimmick fighter. He's 60 years old, which is why they called it that. But honestly, if I'm answering the question, I think Mike's going to come out. I think he's been playing nice and playing scared, and I think he's going to come out and teach this kid a lesson. But
I hope so.
What about you, Scott? Where are you lying with this?
I think Jake Paul wins in the sense that he plays the bad guy, right? He's the asshole everybody loves to hate. So that's his brand. He's on it. I'm Mike Tyson all the way. I fucking hate John Paul. Excuse me. Whatever his name.
You didn't even get his name just now. That's funny. Yeah, you really do hate that guy.
I don't even know his name.
You know who I like? I like his brother, like Logan.
He's cool?
All right.
Yeah. I just influencers. Yeah, I'm not into it. Mike Tyson, come on, man. He's a legend.
Yeah. Jen, do you have an opinion on this?
Not really. I agree. I think that he's younger. He beats up an old man. He's gonna lose either way. I don't think there's a win-win in it. Josiah's like, no.
I'm rooting for wisdom here, man. I really am. I just want to.
I mean, he's been around for a long time, but as we age, Joe and I both know. I'm not going to call on you, Scott, because I don't know.
To be fair, Joe is not aging like Tyson.
No, I just like to mess with him, but we do slow down. Things change as you get older, so I'm being fair. I'm being devil's advocate there, so. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's not going to happen. That's just my opinion, but.
No, it's funny you let me in there. I am almost as old as you, so that makes sense that you.
You are older than me, sir.
All right, leopard geckos. I wanted to, ask you guys a couple of questions that I've kind of come up with, but before I do that, I want to kind of know who I'm talking to. And I'm sure I've asked you one of these, Josiah, but there's some other stuff I got for you later. introvert or extrovert, which one mostly defines you as a person before a reptile person? We'll go with Scott first.
As a reptile person, introverted. You
Okay.
know, I partake in the hobby because that's 50% of it, right? That's a
Yeah.
huge portion of it, at least. I would say 50. I put myself out there, not because I'm comfortable with it. I just put it out there to try to do my best to promote the hobby. You know, we can get into the U.S. Breeders' Cup a little bit later, but the whole purpose of that is to help promote the hobby and give somewhere where there's less drama. The drama it can really tire people out. So I think if we're having more fun, um, yeah, definitely. I don't care for too much of that drama. I'm quick to block somebody even if it's something small.
Yeah. All right. Josiah, how about you, man? Which one would you call yourself? Do you fit one of those?
It's tough. I think in my heart I feel introverted, but I don't think most people would describe me that way. So
Okay.
I think that might be partially because it's more effective to be extroverted. So, but
Yeah.
uh, as far as like, I do try to like stay out of like you don't see me commenting on too much and things of that nature. Just uh, I don't want to really touch on it because it's all
Yeah.
the drama stuff that we discuss all the time. I don't even care to talk about that
Yeah.
there is drama.
So, yeah, I do feel you on that. Not wanting to comment on certain things. I do the same. Then there's things that I will comment on, and afterwards I'm like, why did I do that? I should go delete it. 6 people read it. But
You can't believe it.
so that the reason I asked the question too is I kind of want to know the opinions that you guys have on whether or not you ought to be introverted or extroverted in the hobby. I do like how Scott touched on he's pushing himself to be a little bit more outgoing than he claims he is. I would say when I was younger, I was very extroverted. I don't even think I knew the definition of introvert. I didn't know how to be that. And then as I got older, I think it's just one of those things where you just kind of get tired of a big community. And this is I refer to this as a small community all the time, but it's not. It's actually pretty big and it's all over the place. There's plenty of people to reach out. Jen, I'm going to ask you, where would you put yourself?
Introvert, for sure.
Yeah.
I know, hard to believe. Definitely. But I think after doing this podcast with you, that's not going to exist anymore since you keep throwing me out there, out of my comfort zone. So not a
Oh,
bad
you guys all remember my start to the podcast, the constant head
thing.
down, my hands sweating, and now I used to have to have a beer. Like I don't even think about it now. So it's definitely been helpful. What sort of things, and anybody can take this one, what sort of things do you feel would help the hobby if we were to be able to be a little bit more of an extroverted group or as a community? What sort of things do you think we would benefit from the hobby?
Uh, I'll take it. I was actually having this conversation on the phone with somebody the other day, and just more like talking, like physical, like over the phone or in person communication. The whole text based thing, it just turns into terrible stuff. You can't get intent across at all, and the internet naturally does not uh, look at like positive intent. It's always through some sort of like negative glasses first. Um,
Yeah, it doesn't convey
anybody,
tone. So
yeah, because even people that I like thought I wouldn't really like in the hobby, like you go to reptile shows and it's not they're totally different people. Maybe they are like online, maybe a bit of an ass, but like in person, people really aren't. And you'll find that you kind of agree more on topics than you disagree. So,
yeah,
but yeah, definitely just and it, just reach out to people. They'll either respond back or they won't. I think you'd be surprised how many people you can get on the phone just by
yeah.
just by talking to them.
Yep, I was almost heavily suggested to get on the phone with you last year sometime. Matt was the one, he got a hold of me and he's like, yeah, you really should call Josiah. And I remember telling him, yeah, man, I'll totally do that. Then I just didn't because, I'm
We've met
making
at
a
the
phone
show though.
call. No, I made it, I got on a phone call with a complete stranger. It just seemed kind of outside of my comfort zone. And then I called you. I think we had 2 long conversations and then I met you at the show.
That's right. Yeah.
So yeah, one of those times I was actually picking up the incubator that I use right now, and that's working really well. You got anything to weigh on that, Scott?
No, you guys nailed it. I mean, I might have a dozen phone calls with people, but they're memorable.
Yeah,
I can call back to those conversations. It's always worth it. Even when somebody's thinking about buying geckos, if they talk with me, it's nice to relay quick information without having any unchecked nuance. It's great. Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys and Josiah. Phone calls are pretty important.
yeah.
When it comes to communicating through IG, it's primarily just acknowledgments or congratulations.
No, I definitely. Let's see. You can always call me too.
Just reset his antics.
Funny.
That's all.
That is funny. Reese is actually one of the newest people that I get on the phone with. And I really enjoy talking to him. But damn, is he a so every time I call any of my people, who I call my people, which everybody I want to be my people, but the people I already talked to, that dude's on the phone. Um, and it's funny. I went to I'm looking at Micah's response right now, and a point to that is I had more friends after I put some effort into it and bought the ticket, flew out to Daytona, walked around, met. Actually, 2 of you are on here right now. So that's funny. Yeah, no, it's a small community for sure, but as an introvert or somebody who's become a little bit more of that, I really hope that if people ever want to talk to me, they know that I'll answer my phone. I always tell people, like I tell my customers, if I don't answer my phone, it's because I'm in an attic, and so I don't want to fall through the ceiling. I'll just call you back, and I will too, especially if you text and say, "Hey, this is me," whatever. My phone's ringing right now, and I'm not answering it. So anyway, yeah, the purpose of that one was just to kind of, I don't know. I feel like we can do a little bit better with being more extroverted with each other, willingness to get on the phone, um, talk a little bit. Bayside's asking me if I'm coming to Daytona again. I'm actually thinking about it, but there is another one I might want to do, and then I might do both.
Well, Joe, I'm driving to Daytona.
Are you?
I am. Josiah and Matt's going to be
So,
there.
Brett,
And Brett's going to be there.
that's a Texas-sized no, Brett.
Reese is going to be there. Excuse me,
Yeah.
sir.
All right.
Why are we friends?
All right. So everybody asks a 5-year question. I kind of want to know that. But before I ask the question, I kind of want to give the idea as to why. So, every 5 years we have a bunch of new people. 5 years ago, ish, I was one of them. And then there's always the people that you are like, what? And they get out of the hobby. How would you guys like to see the hobby being handled 5 years from now? If you could, have a say in what's going on and who stays and who goes. You don't have to say who goes, but matter of fact, please don't say who goes.
Well, what am I going to do with this list that I wrote? I'm joking.
Yeah, what would you guys like to see 5 years from now going on in the hobby?
I'm going to need to take a second.
Yeah.
There's a few improvements I see. David over at Bubba's Living Emporium, he's got the substrates. He's all about giving the animals something extra, and I'll be the first one to admit that I'm not doing what he's doing, but I think that's inspiring.
Yeah.
Cool.
In reference to his supplementation, with actually I shouldn't say supplementation. like the gut loading stuff?
He's
Yeah, I
definitely
mean, I got low.
somebody.
I imagine his supplementation is probably more than what I do as well. He's talked a lot about it. That's why I've never gotten to speak to him.
Yeah.
That's somebody himself out there for sure.
Yeah, no, he seems to do great stuff.
Oh yeah, he's definitely one that I don't think I'd be
Well, I do
accepting.
beat falling because of him. I wasn't doing that, so
Yeah,
Um,
I think
I
it'll be pretty difficult for people to actually match that energy or that standard. But if he's influencing people to do anything, that's cool. So I'd like to see basically husbandry grow better than I do. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I do my best, but you're asking me a difficult question.
I mean, the only thing that like constantly pops into my mind is just like all the like attacks on people and people that have never even spoken to each other. Like it's pretty common, and it's like it blows my mind.
Yeah.
I just maybe it is true, maybe it's not, but like from the outside looking in, it just looks goofy from the people that have no clue what's going on with the particular topic. Like I just like to see less of that. People really aren't that bad. Just talk.
Yeah. No, I can agree with that one. Just I personally would like to see a little more maturity with people. Like not so much. What's the word I'm looking for? Obsession towards their way is the only way. Yeah, it's kind of an obsession, and it sometimes comes off as a negative. But for the most part, what I've noticed, but with people I talk to, is their obsessions are the things that I pay the most attention to because they make me the most interested. So if we could find a way to deliver those things a little bit better, I would just like to see more people talking to each other in 5 years. It's because you know the list, and everybody has another list because I don't know everybody and when you talk to new people, you hear their list and, oh, this person doesn't talk to that person, or these guys are fighting, and for what, over
over leopard
reptiles,
geckos. Like
that we're all doing the same thing.
We're not
now-
solving world problems here. This is a very
Yeah.
fun thing to do, and we all have a like interest in it. And
Yeah. And I think that if you're
some of
not,
the heat comes from passion. That's why they're so
Yeah.
agitated all the time. It's just a lot of passion, but like there's better ways to communicate.
I agree, and that's what I'm hoping for. I feel like I'm starting to see a little bit of it lately too. Lately, people who I know used to argue, like I was on a conversation or a phone call with Seth a while ago, and he was just like, look, if we want it to go away, just stop talking about it. He's like, I'm down to never talk about the subject we were on again. And I was like,
we did it again. It's so hard.
that is a really good thing. We were talking about a breeder, but here's what I think too. And if anything I ever said could ring more true, it would be, if somebody has bad intentions, all hands on deck. Let's figure out how to stop it. Let's figure out how to ignore it, whatever. But if somebody's, nobody's without redeem. I don't know, like, what do you say? Like, everybody's redeemable, in a sense. If you don't like something about them, there's really, really great, mature ways. And in 5 years, I would like to see that be the standard. And I would like the other reptile enthusiasts to be like, those guys in the leopard gecko community really clean their act up. They all get along. There's like one or two stragglers that, like they're trying to get them on board with the positivity and exchanging of help and words. And kind of like what Micah's saying here, people need to respect each other. There's no respect anymore. I think that a lot of us are fixing that, I think we're doing, I don't know. That's where
and there's another good comment. Desert Dragon Works says that we need to be able to have grown-up conversations. And if we see something that maybe somebody's not doing the way that we feel they shouldn't be doing it, it's really not our place to tell them they're right or wrong, but we can educate, we can have an adult conversation. Obviously, if they're doing something wrong, we would like to see them change that, but people also have to be receptive to that.
Yeah.
So
Scott's having a little bit of technical difficulty. I'm sure he'll be on in just a few minutes. If there's anything else you got on this, Josiah, by all means.
I made my piece there.
Yeah, no, it's let's see, while we wait on Mr. Scott, I looked online last night. There are no reptile quotes for leopard geckos. I think that that's something we could focus on for the next 5 years. Everybody that might be watching this, come up with something clever and start sharing it. We have no quotes. Nobody writes them. And it would be cool to actually see names of people I know next to it instead of strangers. I was looking at them last week. There were none. Zero. There was one that gave us an illness. It's called MRD. You have multiple reptile disorder. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, nobody had any quotes for us. So community, get to work on that. How's it going, Scott?
Hey, nice to see you guys.
I'm
Hey.
glad to see I'm not the only one that keeps his fishing poles above his racks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, I have the same.
It's the only place they fit. All right. So leopard geckos. I don't want to go into genetics. Let's go into morphs. Scott, what would you say is your favorite morph that you have, and your favorite one that you maybe don't have?
Favorite one that I don't have would be Belle.
Okay.
Yeah. As far as my project, like I just work with Max Snow, Eclipse, Tremper, White and Yellow. I'm working on a Tangerine line, but I'm trying to prove out the NDBE.
Okay.
But I don't understand how people have multiple albino lines. Like that takes a lot of room. I'm just looking at what I have. I'm already maxed out, and I just work with one. But
I'm guilty.
yeah, good for you guys. I can't get it.
I'm also finding myself in a spot too many projects and not enough space for all the projects. So there's some projects that are going to just be like every other year things, and
That's the way to do it.
Going to be more consistent. So because I'm not going to stop any of the projects, the only thing I might stop is the tangerine stuff. I might get away from that. As I've probably talked about it on here before, but my first purchases of geckos, they were all tangs. All of them ended up being het tremper. So at that point, might as well we're making them tremper here. That's what that tang group is turning into. So,
Yeah.
But it's cool. I have some pretty cool looking like high contrast trempers that have come out of the group, and that's kind of the direction the project's now going, which is kind of funny. I bought these like super hyped out tangerines, and 5 years later, I now have high contrast trempers. That's a project I didn't even know I was doing. So, but there it is. That's what I got now. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's funny. I actually this year landed on just because of what I'm producing, and it's amazing how like 6 things you were trying to do didn't work out, but 2 did. And so you're like, hey, if I can keep this up, and I kind of knew what was going to happen here, that's pretty neat that I'm getting to a point where I can tell what's going to happen. So I'm like, all right, I had some ideas for some projects, and not for the sake of naming anything, they have names, but it's a look I'm looking for. And so I'm hoping to just, produce it. What else am I doing here if I'm not trying to do that? So when I decided that that's where I was going to go, it's amazing how many of my animals I was like, well, I can't let these go because I love them. They're amazing, but like I'm not interested in working with those at the moment. What about you, Jen? What kind of what morphs do you hope to work with later on?
I'm still figuring that out, honestly. I thought I had a direction that I wanted to go. And because we talk every day, but I have a group of them that I'm going to be weeding out and letting go so I can kind of figure out where I really want to go. So I don't really have a straight answer for that right now. I really love the bells. I'm with Scott on that one. I have some. I have to grow them up, and the
Yeah.
white and yellow, but I'm a little iffy some of the things that I've been hearing. So obviously, I need to get a little bit more research in on that before I start
Are you?
Yeah.
wearing some of those. Huh?
I was gonna say, are you referencing white and yellow and possibly neurologic stuff?
Yeah, just I've been hearing different things here and there, so I just want to make sure.
I personally haven't seen it, so
Yeah,
I mean, I don't have experience under my belt with white and yellow, but I don't know. It seemed the same.
I can call you later, Josiah, and tell you
Okay,
some of the stuff
if you
that
know
I'm
something,
referring
yeah,
to.
I'd be
But
curious.
yeah. So we'll see.
I don't know. I gotta put this up here because of just
I
I don't know
have
if you
some
guys
rainwater.
recall. Was it last week or the week before? Something like that. I accidentally called Stripe a reverse Stripe, and this person here has not let me live it down the entire time because it was just some shit I said, But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and we're gonna talk about this just kind of like you know um, last minute. So Reese would like to understand what we mean. If you look here, he would like us to go over the difference between morphs and genetics. We had some, Thomas says it's a blanket statement for genetics, which is, pretty accurate. I agree with that. Uh, Scott, in your words, how would you describe the difference between morph and genetic for Reese,
I
who needs
mean,
our help?
if I were to say if I were to make a judgment call, I would say maybe it'd have to be recessive, or have to show some characteristic of those, string of traits, be it
Yeah.
dominant or whatnot. And I would take genetics to be more maybe the tone of the tangerine or the pattern, something like that. That's just my first guess.
All right, Josiah.
Um,
Shape of the body.
sure. Uh, let's see. All all morphs are genetic, but not all.
Chickens or eggs.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think how to word this in my head, but
No, you're good.
um, yeah. So yeah, all morphs are genetics. They're but some morphs are a collection of genetics. So what basically what you're saying when you said morphs and genetics, you're referencing genetics being something that it's like a known trait that you can pass down to the next generation. So things like recessive, dominance, codoms, all those things. And morphs would be um, uh, both like polygenic stuff.
Yeah, and
That's fair.
also Reese.
Yeah, but
Reese.
like for example, like Murphy's patternless, is that not a morph? Like it's one genetic though. It's just
No,
one
it
gene
totally is.
that does that, and
Yeah.
it's totally a morph. So um,
Yep. All
that's
genetics
why
are
I was
morphs. I
trying
can
to.
agree with you.
Yeah, that's why I was saying like all genetics are morphs, but not all morphs are genetics. But it's not it doesn't not quite accurate.
Yeah.
I was trying to sound really cool
So
there, but I couldn't put it together.
no, it worked out well, and obviously our hopes for the community for the 5-year plan is to have people, I don't know, be accepting of when you're trying to work something out. Um, yeah, I agree with that. When I think of morphs, I think of the advice I got from Scarborough when I first got back in. I emailed him immediately. Hey, do you have any anything that you would suggest? And then one of his questions was, what, how savvy are you with genetics? I said, I was really good. And then it's been 6 years. So he said, yeah, I wouldn't focus on that only. Right now, I would breed for morph. I would breed for, projects that other people are doing and just have fun with it to keep you entertained. But, while you're learning genetics again and getting back on that level that you think you used to be on. And so that was really cool advice. It also was the first time I ever even considered the fact that, all, genetics are morphs, but morphs are not genetic animals. Firebolt, that's a morph. It has genetics in it, it has genes in it, but it's a morph. Black
Sorry.
Knight.
That's how you know you're on the right path of genetics, if you're a little bit more confused every time you hear about them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
there
want
you
to go
go.
second next time.
Well, he's more confused because Jen answered. So, Jen, you're gonna have to. No, I'm just kidding.
I didn't say anything on that one, so
Yeah. Um, let's see. Hopefully that helped you out, Reese. I know that buddy, you need a lot of help. I'm here
We
for
can start
you.
from square one if we need to.
I think
You
Reese knows
want
what's
to? Anybody want to get a board? We could draw a
Uh,
perfect square.
Seriously, if anybody is more confused now, genuinely, let us know. Like, I'll fix
Yeah,
it.
no, absolutely. Call me on the phone and I'll try to fix what I've done.
Yeah.
But
Reese is claiming blame for that or whatever you want to say there.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
his
yeah,
plan.
Yeah, that's the never-ending debate, I guess. They're all genetic.
yeah. All right. Um, this is a good one. I would highly recommend nobody says a name of any kind. So, but in your own personal opinion, what is one of the biggest misconceptions that other breeders have about the hobby as a whole, or the hobby in general? Is there anything that you think that there are people out there that think one thing that is just 100% to you not accurate?
As individual breeders out there, or as a collective?
Yeah, it could be either one of those. Like literally answer it either
I
way.
think generally, as a collective, you're pretty much on point. There's some outliers that say some odd stuff. Um,
Yeah.
I was scrolling as one does, and there was people arguing about the overhead light thing, and I mean, in my opinion, I thought that was pretty well discussed, and
Yeah.
you can do either. Honestly, that's what it boils down to. But I don't think there's. I'd be more partial to say that the underbelly heat is by far the most effective way. But these people were claiming that overhead light was the necessity, and like stuff like that, I find really bizarre. But these also could have been just a bunch of pet people. I don't know if they were necessarily breeders. I don't necessarily see breeders putting a ton of bad stuff out there. It's pretty basic as far as setting up like a breeding program, as far as heating requirements, nesting requirements, watering requirements. I think there's a lot of good information out there. You're not really going to go wrong.
Yeah. What about Scotty? What do you got for us?
I look at the hobby as kind of self-correcting in a way. It's
Yeah.
easy. It's easy to, like Josiah was saying, they're outliers, really. But once you submerge yourself in the hobby, it's pretty streamlined. I think for me, I just direct most people who have questions to John's page, and he's got it detailed. There's not much guessing to it, so long as you don't misplace your probe or make a silly mistake. The husbandries, they're pretty basic, and they're pretty easy animals to keep too. You really you have to try to dry one out, and the parameters are pretty easy to cope with in almost all the environments. So
Yeah.
I don't see much issue in that regard.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, no, that's actually a really good answer. So you think that we are self-correcting in a way, and that we all kind of end up on the same page, or?
Well, I think the majority of the hobby can agree on how to keep their animals healthy and alive, right?
Yeah.
In the reptile hobby, there are other animals where there are more questions and more difficulties, be it breeding or even keeping. So I look at everybody in the hobby, and it's pretty copacetic. I'm sure. I mean, but like I said, I don't really pay attention too much of BS. So
Okay.
I don't really
It tends
focus
to-
on that portion too much. I would rather in my time in the hobby, I don't want to dedicate any of that because that will cause burnout. dedicating to a lot of the negatives. You know, I'm always happy to help people when they want to ask questions, and I can make suggestions. You know, and I'll do my best. But as far as really highlighting or focusing on anything destructive, I don't see that. You really got to try for that almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think another misconception that some people get is that I don't know, that hobby and the word business are synonymous. Um, that's one of the things I was thinking about. It creates this culture of some folks who now and then can overpromise and underdeliver. When if it was more of passion and you stuck with the right definition to what you're doing, then you really could never do that. All you could ever do is interact and share, and there would be no reason for expectation. It would just be just this fun, awesome thing you're doing. And there's always going to be stuff that people go through that, if you care about them, you want to be a part of it. But at the same time, it's kind of, where do you draw the line in that? I think misconception basically is that your hobby is your business. If you can't quit your job, it's not your business. It's your hobby. It's fun. If you're not paying taxes on it, which that happens, it's not a business. It's something that every now and then you get $1 for, but you're going to spend a lot more on your animals, especially if you're doing it right and you care. I don't know. I don't know. What do you guys think about that?
I feel like I'm always going to be in the red. It's never going to be. It's never going to be a money making or a true business. I do it because I love it, and yeah, I call it a business. Yeah, I have to register like a business, but yeah, I'm always going to be in the red, and I've just accepted that.
It's just like a real
I'm
business.
not here to make money off of them. I'm really not. I'm here to enjoy it. What'd you say, Josiah?
But it's just like a real business.
Well, that's probably true. But,
What are you talking
no idea. Yeah.
but like Thomas had said, this is not a safe and reliable income. Don't expect to become rich. And he's absolutely right. So,
yeah,
there
I
might
do
be
see
some,
that from people where you can tell they're coming at it thinking that they're going to be,
it's just about money. Yeah.
they're going to pay off their initial investment quickly. And it's just like,
No.
you could, I'm not saying
No.
like, but just don't go in with that expectation. Like, and with any other business you would start, you're not looking to for a business to be profitable tomorrow. You want it to be profitable for 40 years. So just do all the right
True.
things, and just be patient with it. Like I definitely am in the red. I expect to be in the red for several more years. But I think longevity in the hobby and just getting your name out there and showing a quality animal over time, it'll eventually pay for itself. I'm not really. I don't think that's. I think that'll happen personally, but
Yeah. And raise your hand if you're not having fun in the red. Like.
The most fun I have is when I spend my money. So I mean,
Yeah.
Go out to dinner.
Yeah.
People got race cars. They don't make money off that. So.
Very true.
Yeah, not to put this in a negative light or not encourage people to be breeders, but it's just a long game. That's all it is. You talk to anybody that actually makes money off of this and supports their life, like it's just time. And we kind of mentioned in the beginning the 5-year thing. Most breeders just don't last. So all you have to do is just beat the guy that comes in. I've only been in 5 years and I've already seen people leave. It kind of blows my mind. And some of those were leaving like right around the 5-year mark. And I'm like, I feel like I just kind of got started. Like, I'm like,
right.
I'm seeing 5 years of pairings come together. I'm seeing like the direction these projects can finally go. And I have no intention of stopping. So.
Oh man, there are some horror stories on some people that exit the hobby. I mean, it's just thinking about like how they exited and things they did. Like if you think about some of the stuff that happens, you're just like, if you were still in the hobby and word got out that you did this shit, like it would be you would be almost canceled right away. But in a sense. But Scott knows what I'm talking about. All right, guys, this is the big one. Earlier, hopefully, I don't know if I got to Josiah on this, so just don't go first. But I did. I think you were still signing in, but I have a question that was kind of prepped for you, so you can have time to think about it. The question is, what are you doing in your reptile room right now that you would like to share? Something that you're putting a lot of effort into. Or struggling with, and how is this effort going to look as it gets out to the community anytime soon?
Well, I bought my first two animals, right? It was an Atomic G and a Blood Tramper, separate lines. So there was really no need for me to outcross that immediately. So I spent a couple years, seeing which pairings had what effect. And, maybe about 3 years of inbreeding. So this year, I'm fully dedicated to outcrossing everything, this year and last year. And I really like what you do, how you constantly do that. I think I'm going to enjoy that process. I'll give that a shot with a portion of my group. So as far as my stuff, I'm introducing new lines or freshening it up whatsoever. You know what I mean? That's basically what I'm doing. I got 6 different directions I can take one line, so I'm going to try and spread them out a little bit, and then I can pick my favorites. That might go together real well. I'm having fun choosing. Like I have a male. He's a superstar. You know what I mean? And like you have one animal that every female you put him to creates just amazing looking animals. That's the superstar right there. So I want to hold him, and then maybe if I had 2 or 3 of those guys, or maybe 3 or 4 males like that, I could kind of downsize my group a little bit and keep those genetics kind of spread in different directions. Yeah, I think Matt talks about weaving and stuff like that, kind of that concept. So I'm enjoying the process of diversifying the genetics this year. I never ran into crazy issues with the inbreeding, but I think I did enough to kind of start off my group and my animals and my look and all that. So outcrossing. Let's just sum it up with that. Outcrossing is fun. It's really fun.
Trying to get this thing to work, man. My computer's acting really funky. Josiah, did you have time to think about that one, man?
Yeah. Don't know if I have a good
He's
answer.
all excited about that. Yeah.
No, it's
Let's hear it, Josiah.
no, because you asked the question and it just wasn't. It caught me off guard, and then I was just really intently listening to Scott. So your question was, what am I doing in my reptile room that I haven't shared before? Is that essentially the
No,
question?
just something you're excited about that you're going through, and how is it going to affect the community later on?
Tell you what I'm not excited about.
Go ahead.
I paired one of my white and yellows to an Albie Snow, and obviously, you got to hit the odds. I was really hoping for Albie Snow white and yellows, and I only got 2 eggs out of this girl, and I don't have any other ones paired up with that pairing, and they both came out just regular Albies. So hate to see it.
Yeah.
What else I got going on in there? I got like het cipher stuff going back and forth. I have not hatched any ciphers though this year, so kind of unlucky on the numbers there. I have a ton of eggs right now. I have pulled a lot of eggs in the last 2 weeks. So I'm having firebolts hatch, so those are always fun to see. They're one of my favorite hatchlings. They're cool right out of the egg. So stuff like the albinos, like first thing out of the egg, they're not particularly interesting looking. It's hard to, at least for me, I just don't see. I look in there and I see trempers, and they don't look. They all kind of look the same. But you give them a few sheds and a few feedings, and you can really start seeing the colors develop on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got Albie Snow. I crossed an extreme bold Albie Snow to my fire bulbs, and I kind of just did it for fun. I didn't actually expect to really like anything out of there, but they came out really cool. Are you guys familiar with JMG's? What is it called, that line? The hyperexanthic?
Yeah.
Okay, so kind of the same color tones with the Albi Snow into the firebulb, um, and the pattern also came out like completely like whacked out. They weren't really any. I got one that was like really clean stripes on it, but everything else was like very jungly in nature, pastel colors, lighter yellows, lavenders that are coming through. So those are really cool. I'm excited about it. There's not really a project in there that I'm doing. There's the reason I'm doing it. It's because I'm really excited about it. So
Sounds fun.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that actually sounds cool. Have you been sharing any photos of those?
No, I've been real bad with photos, man.
All right.
But don't worry. Like once I get these, once I finally sit down and I start taking some photos, like I think people will be excited. I am, anyways. So
Yeah. Now, Jen, I'm going to pass the question over to you. I know that you've been talking a little bit to Bubba, and you guys passed some information on what microscopes, and so you got quite a bit going on in your
Yeah.
reptile
So,
room. How is
yeah.
your stuff going to help the hobby?
Well, you also said something we're struggling with. So, first and foremost, my biggest struggle is time management. So, I get down here, and I know Joe has mentioned it before. And before I know it, I'm down here hours later. So, my biggest thing is I'm obviously starting to do my own poop samples now. So, I'm excited about that. I'm getting everything in store. Thanks to Bubba on that one. But moving was a big thing. So getting everything ready, getting my room the way that I want it, obviously cleaning and feeding and, just all the things that come along with it too. And then I decided, hey, I moved out of state, out of Florida. I moved away from you, Josiah. I'm so sorry. Um, to Georgia, close to this mess Reese over here. But anyways,
some of this heat though. God
uh-huh.
bless you. Got away from some of this heat. I said, God
I
bless you.
did. It's the
Oh,
humidity.
yeah, it's been miserable the last 2 days, man.
Oh, I'm sure. But with the move and everything, I had to switch everything over to Georgia, and here they require a inspection prior, so prepping for the inspection. But I will say my time management may suck. I may be in here way longer than I need to be, and there's probably a more efficient way that everybody is more than welcome to share ideas with me to help me get through my cleanings, get through my feedings quick. Thanks to Joe recommending a cart, that's helping a little bit. But I will say the inspector made me feel really good. So I'm going to boast a little bit on this. So I take pride in my animals. I take pride in how I keep them. And I take pride in my room in general. And she said that on her inspections, my room was probably one of the cleanest ones, nicest facilities she's ever seen.
Awesome.
She even wrote a nice inspection report that I read to Joe. So it was pretty, it made me feel good because it kind of solidified that I am doing things right. Sometimes when I question myself, like, should I really be, I'm doing everything that needs to be done. My animals are happy. They're healthy. My room's clean. It's just, yeah. So, and to have an inspector tell you that literally, right? Reese is like, don't be nervous. I'm like, I'm not nervous. And she gets here and I'm nervous as can be. I'm like, okay, well, and I know there's no reason to be, but I'm nervous. This woman's looking around my facility and checking things out. And then she compliments me and tells me she wishes I could teach other people the same things. So that made me feel good. That kind of solidified that time. But if anybody wants to give me some advice, like I said, help me get this cleanings at least done quicker, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, no.
I think we all probably struggle with
I
it.
don't know, man. I always run into the same thing where like I go into the room and everything takes me longer than I expected every time.
Yeah, and it's like no matter how I set things up, like no matter how prepared, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna knock this out this time. Like I've got this, and then I got the cart. Joe uses a cart, and he's like, you need a cart. Okay, so we've got the cart in house now. I have all my stuff. I mean, just everything I need is on that cart, and it still seems like it takes me forever. Of course, I'm saying hi. How you doing? All the weird little things that we probably all do with our reptiles, and talking to my little guys here. So, and obviously we're hatching a bunch of eggs too. So the babies take even more time, I feel like. But yeah, so we'll see.
How many racks do you have, Jennifer?
So right now I have 5 and I have 6 on the way. I just kind of have a little bit of a delay. So hopefully they get here soon because I'm like Josiah. I have a bunch in the incubators, 2 different incubators that should be hatching. I had one that hatched earlier today and I'm kind of waiting on another one. And then I have more just trailing behind. So, yeah. So, yeah, that's what I'm working with.
The effort behind the samples is really cool. I actually look forward to,
Yeah.
you say, hey, I've done this for a minute. I know kind of what I'm looking at, and you can
Yeah.
share things like this is what you should be looking at, and
Yeah.
because it's cool to like grab a. I like when people will share the website too, but at the same time, if somebody says buy this, it's the best one, and I can afford it, I'll be like, all right, cool, it's here. Now what?
Yeah.
And they say, here's how you set it up, and then cool, now I'm all set up, and then here's the stuff you need to read, but I'm all set up, and here's how you look for it. So I don't know, I think that'll be very helpful. When because I do in-house deworming, and then I've heard a lot of ins and outs, and everybody's asking me, hey, when is this video coming out, when is this video coming out? And I haven't released the video, and it's because I don't want to be irresponsible with it. There's a lot I could do, the generic information. This is how you do it. This is how you measure this, and but the thing is that by doing that, I could kill somebody's animal. So I don't want to do that. So I'm actually, Jen's doing the
Oh,
microscope thing,
bless.
but I also
Yeah.
am talking to a vet right now and getting a lot of good information from them. Um, and then also, I've heard recently some stuff about how heartworm works on dogs, and and this is what made me say, okay, I'm not making the video immediately. I gotta really dive into this before I go making it, so I know what disclaimers to put out there. But dogs, when they deworm them, when they have heartworms, they do like a 6-month regimen, and why? So it's because if you were to try to kill all the worms immediately, it would just go into the bloodstream and cause sepsis. I have no idea how that translates to leopard geckos. So that being said, it's like I'm not just going to throw the video up. So talking to a vet, I feel like I can tell when she's just trying to make money. That's fine. She has a business to run, but yeah, we got somebody saying obviously deworming is extremely safe. I'm willing to bet that's true. I'm also willing to bet that I don't know how to measure how many worms the animal has. What types? Are there multiple types? Are any of the worms going to end up in the bloodstream? Does it work that way with reptiles versus dogs? Those are things that I'm working on right now so that I could figure out the video that I want to put down. So
And that's, yeah.
for anybody that's waiting around for it, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was going to say the other comment they made too, which is something that I've been reading in on as well. As like you said, Joe, you and I are kind of working on this together here.
Yeah.
Um, it's normal to still, even after deworming, you may see some pinworms,
Yeah.
and there's like the ins and outs of when you're supposed to treat and when you're not supposed to treat, how long you're supposed to treat. So all those are good things that we need to know. We're testing, over here, obviously doing the poop samples is pretty simple. If you can use a microscope, you know what you're looking for. You definitely can do it, but there's a couple of good points there, and really and honestly, Panicure is what we use. That's the brand name, and it honestly is a safe, extremely safe drug to use, but it also can cause dehydration. So there are things that I
Yeah.
agree with Joe. We don't want to put things out there and somebody come back to us and say, "Oh, I did what you told me, and I killed my animal." So
Yeah.
so we'll definitely get that eventually out there.
Yeah. Yeah. And as soon as I can, honestly, I can do the, like what Thomas is saying here in the comments about, knowing the weight versus CCs.
Mhm.
He's right. I just want to make sure I put disclaimers in there. Like, look, if you try this and your animal dies, it's not on me. You could have something that I don't know. I'm not a vet, but I could teach you how to use, fenbendazole the correct way. And Thomas is even mentioning another one. I use fenbendazole. That's what I use. It's Panicure or Safeguard. It's like a horse
Can
dewormer.
can you go over the
Yes.
reasons why you do this?
Yeah, and so I'll kind of slightly go into it. When I don't do it for every animal, willy nilly or on a schedule. It's if the animal seems to be losing weight, and then now instead of doing it where it's like if I fed crickets, I will keep an eye on anything that I feed crickets to. And I know a lot of people say, oh, I never feed crickets, but you know what? They like crickets. So if I could feed crickets and give them some, happiness, kind of like, trying to give them a better living situation. In a sense, it's like you're keeping them healthier. And then if they end up with a problem, and not all crickets give your animals problems. So every now and then you're going to catch the one or two that are like, okay, this must have had something in it. So I'll pay attention to their weights. I actually use Husbandry Pro, and that gives me like a weight chart. I take weights often. So if you're dropping grams after I handed you crickets a few weeks ago, I'll pay attention to it. I would like to do those poop samples and take a look at it and see what I'm looking at and how it's, before I do that. But if they start dropping weight, my animals don't just drop weight. So if they do and they're not breeder animals, I kind of feel like maybe something's going on. And then there's the difference between what am I looking for? Like noticing that an animal's wasting away versus just losing some weight. You can see the difference there. Wonder who this person is. Oop. Who this?
Who this?
Who this? Yeah.
We have the same question.
Yeah, right. I think that was the point of their name, huh? But yeah, the reason I do it is when I notice the weight drop. You have a point here. It says if you keep your animals clean and don't leave piles of poop in their tub, you will not really have parasitic issues. For the most part, you will have the normal load that most reptiles have. That's true, also in a lot of ways, but food goes a long way with that too. Dr. Merker, I think they can help you refine your video. That's actually a good idea. I'll get that information from you soon, Thomas. So, Pennicure is so safe. All right. So, yeah, is there a reason you asked the question, Josiah? Is there something you were looking for from me?
I've never done it, or honestly, you're the only person that I hear talk about it, so that's why I just curious as to your why reasons.
One of the biggest ones is if one of my animals is losing weight, I'll rush it to a vet. That's expensive, so I won't pull finances for a veterinarian. I will do the right thing and take it.
It costs as much as a dog, by the way. They don't charge no different.
If not more. Yeah.
Yeah.
My vet bill's been more than my dog's.
No, absolutely. So one of the biggest reasons is I want to know what I'm doing because obviously I want to save that couple $100 per animal. But I won't not take the animal just because it's going to cost me money. You see what I'm saying? So
I think being able to
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, Joe, to go on that. I think being able just to do a quick look at their poop and see, okay, maybe this is the cause for that weight loss is a good thing too. And then you can go ahead and make that decision from them, whether it mean, and this is just me just putting it out there, whether you want to deworm in house or you want to take it to the vet and have it dewormed. But again, you have to know what you're looking for, and everything like that. And there are images online. Bubba did share some with me as well. But I also want to make sure that as I'm doing these samples, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I can't remember who told me that they have a vet go to their facility, and that excited the shit out of me. I was like, what? And that they charge them like a flat rate to look at all the animals, and they know how many they have ahead of time, and they look at them all and they do whatever in bulk. So it's like one visit. And I was like, okay, we don't have anything like that here. Arizona does not have not where I live, maybe where Thomas lives because he's talking about it. But in Mesa, we don't have a exotic vet that's worth anything really. We have one that she kind of gets things right sometimes, and other times your animal dies right after she diagnosed it, and it, then you send it out because you're like, okay, and it's never like crypto. So you're like, okay, so what killed the animal? Turns out it was worms, and you're like, okay, cool. Well, I paid this vet bill for nothing, but
so they can kill them then. Like, I'm assuming it's like a load dependent though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And typically the signs of that would be the like withering of the animal.
Yeah, they start losing weight, but it's not like wasting away. Wasting away. Oh, is he in my area, Thomas? That's funny.
Better stop, Joe.
I have no idea who that is. Yeah, you'll have to tell me who that is. I have a. I'll go over who I went with. Clint. I'm drawing a blank on what you just said. The comments are kind of going crazy here. Anyway.
Bloated gut plus slimmer tail.
Yeah.
Maybe that sounds.
Yeah. But it's like if you've ever seen, and I've never seen an animal with crypto like in front of me, but I've seen them online. The way they waste away is very different, and they live for the entire thing. Whereas if you catch the animal losing weight and it's not getting, I don't know, it's like a slimmer tail, but it's not a waste
Are they
away
still
stick
eating?
tail. It's not exactly that. I'm using my hand over here. Like I'm doing
Yeah, you're
something.
fine. I can extrapolate.
Well, there's other signs too. I mean, you're also
Are
looking at.
they still eating during these time periods?
Yeah, no,
And
they are
they're
still eating.
eating, and you're seeing
Yeah,
weight loss. Okay.
yeah. So that's
From
actually a
what,
good point. They
from
are
what I
eating.
remember, they can still though have from the little bit of research I did just recently on some of those signs and symptoms. It is gut bloating, so they will have a more bloated gut. Their tails obviously can get slimmer. Some of them can have poor appetites. They can have diarrhea. They can actually have regurgitation, and there's a list of things that you can see in a reptile, well, a leopard gecko, I should say, with parasites. But again, you're talking, it's probably quite a bit of a load before you'll see a lot of that. But
Okay.
so
Because I don't think I've noticed
Poor
anything
Scott.
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I haven't either, but I'm a little extra, Josiah. I want to be prepared. I've
no,
heard
that's fine.
horror stories. I've seen, other
Yeah,
people
I mean,
talking about
honestly,
things.
like maybe I've just been completely blind to it. But I feel like I've only heard these conversations get thrown around more in like the last, I don't know, 6 months, a year or so. So
Yeah.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that.
that's why, like, I'm just I don't know. I just don't know the subject. So.
Yeah. Well, when I first started, I
Well,
didn't
the
hear a
video,
lot about it either.
man.
Yeah. All right. So
What did I
moving
miss?
away from my not yet happening Panicure video, who in the hobby would you say are some of the most influential breeders that you know, and why? So who do you like? Why do you like them? Let's go Scott first while he's still here.
The most influential to me would have to be Chris Charlton. The typical ones: Gecko Boa, Matt Bronovich, Matt Sasselbeck. That's hard to say. I just love looking at other people's animals. Like my collection is just a few genetics, right? So a few morphs. So that's one of the reasons why I like the Breeders' Cup, because it's kind of a collective where I can see everybody's favorite animals.
Yeah.
Everybody from the new breeder to several years in. But I guess those are the top three. If I were to give the top three, it would be them. Suburban Geckos, Matt, Gecko Boa. Like, it doesn't get much better than that. If we're going pinnacle breeder, like, those guys are crazy. They're crazy.
Yeah. Have you ever gotten on the Gecko Boa website and it's just like 3 a.m. and you started looking at it during dinner? You're like, damn. Gotta get some
Wealth of
sleep.
knowledge.
What about you, Josiah? What do you got?
Wild card, Surfside, mobile.
Oh, thanks, Josiah. Thanks, Josiah.
Did you guys hear that? Especially you, Reese.
John and Matt for sure. It's really hard to leave them out of the conversations. They've both done a lot as far as providing information to like breeders specifically. It's a tough niche, you know. I mean, there's a lot of us out there, but it's one of the
Yeah.
there's not a lot of breeders, honestly. Like in the grand scheme of the world, like there's only so many people that actually have information on this. So there's other breeders that I observe to the outside that I think are probably awesome, that I have yet to talk to. So
Yeah. I think we're gonna put a new rule in that Scott has to go first, just because when he is here, you know, he's experiencing something. So we'll get him back on. But yeah, no, you're not wrong there. I think when it comes down to it, my favorite place to hang out website wise would be geckoboa.com. But I also I don't know, when I'm going through Instagram and stuff, you know, and I see other people doing things, and I just, if I can think of times when I've sat back and gotten like jealous, that would be, you know, one of those things. Not in a bad way, like, oh, screw that guy or whatever, that girl. It's more like damn, what am I not doing that I'm not doing that? You know? It would be let's see, it would be some of the stuff that I know Heidi works on, and then also I've never asked her a question that she can't answer. You know what I mean? And that's actually pretty cool. I'm sure there's one out there, but I'm not going to call it because she's been nothing but helpful. But then, like, talking about, you know, Micah's here, and I do hope I'm saying that correctly. But she was doing a live. It was like a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, and she's sitting there pairing animals, and they're pairing behind her, like almost like she just knew it was going to happen. And I pair animals, so I know what I'm doing there, but they don't just pair the way hers were right behind her while she was talking to a camera. So I was jealous about that. I was like, damn, dude, how the hell do you manage that? And then I think she had like a dozen pairings right there on screen. I was like, fuck, whatever. Yeah, I was like, all right, dude. So that was one. I don't know. I think it's like the different talents you see that are the most influential. You know, you guys both brought up Matt. Good luck, you know, having a history of animals that you can pair that look so badass like his. Like, good luck. You know, you can know what you know and be who you want to be, but his animals speak for themselves, and they're not going anywhere.
general knowledge of all animals is pretty crazy. I mean,
Yeah, which
he has a
he
pretty
has.
extensive like zoo history.
Yeah.
And we were talking on the phone today, and we spent a good part of it just talking about the monkey tails.
His favorite thing.
I know.
Yeah.
Loves his monkey tails.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you know, I basically just was like just listening to just communicate about this because, you know, there's like him and like maybe two other private people that have similar sized collections. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, it's funny, Micah, because you are here. I wasn't sure if it was Mika, which is the German pronunciation, but I'm glad to know that at least I say it correctly. And then I don't know if I were to keep going, I would be here all day. But let's see here. Seth, I like looking at his stuff. Josiah, your firebolts are awesome. I like looking at those. I try to make mine look good. Yours look better. So that's cool.
I didn't do anything different than anybody else at this point, honestly. I just bought firebolts from somebody else and paired them.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we all did with firebolts, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm only like 3 generations in. Now, some of the crosses are fun, you know, that's...
yeah, somebody that I...
put on, but... yeah,
you know what? I got a good answer.
So I'm pretty proud of them, that's for sure.
You know what? Probably my best answer for that personally would be Joe Yingling. Joe Yingling is the
guy that made
first
the
person.
beer?
Huh?
The guy that made the beer?
No, Joe Yingling from Lake Erie Leopard Gecko. Sorry, I should have said
He's
that.
got a dope-ass last name.
So he's the first person to say, "Hey, you need to get on the phone," and I was kind of like, I don't want to get on the phone. And man, was I wrong? You know, because now I've been on the phone with so many people, including him, almost every other day, and that's somebody I look up to because his husbandry is it's way over the top. Like I could never live up to that, but I try. and I've got a lot of tips from him with husbandry and keeping animals, clean and safe, and that has been huge for me. I've spread the word on a lot of that to a lot of people, Jen included. He's the first person that I kind of, when I came back around, that I was like on the phone with regularly, and then it just went from there. I'm not a phone person really, so he kind of turned me into one. So it's I'd say him. What about you, Jen?
So I can blame Yingling for this. All right, I'm gonna let him know next time I talk to him on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, obviously, some of the same people you guys have said, so I don't need to keep repeating it. But really, a lot of you guys that take the time to talk to me, half of you have no idea who the heck I am. Josiah, you just lucked out and got to meet me at Daytona too, and then obviously we became friends. So, yeah. So I do the same thing. Joe, come on now. You know you're my gecko bestie. You're my gecko husband. You're my whatever you want to call me or call yourself. But yeah. So a lot of the same people you guys are, but really just I scroll through Instagram and I'll see some things that are cool. Shut up, Reese. I am not famous. He keeps telling me that. Oh, and let me make it clear. I also did see Reese's cart, but his is smaller than mine. You got to go big or go home, Reese. But Joe's a big one too. I'm glad you brought up Joe Yingling. When you first got me in touch with him, I was like, he wants to talk on the phone. I'm like, okay, that's kind of weird. I don't know who this guy is, but sure. I scheduled a phone call with him, and it was probably one of the best things I did. He is such a sweetheart, and he definitely is a wealth of knowledge. And not a lot of people, from what I'm learning, don't really realize or know who he is on that level. So I think it's pretty cool, and he's been around for a long time, and so. But yeah, same people. And Matt is obviously a wealth of knowledge. You get him going, and he just does
Oh
not
yeah.
stop. So, and I think that's great. So I don't know. It's about the cart rolls, not the size. Well, when you
He's
come
one of
check out my facility, Reese, you're gonna see how my cart rolls.
he's one of the few guys that has like great firebolts.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
because like if I want to maintain a pure line for the people listening, these are quotation marks, but the pure line of firebolts, and he would be one of my picks for additional blood,
Yeah.
And then John.
I'm
And
fortunate I have some animals from him, and they're some of my favorites. So,
yeah, good.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
want to laugh? He and I have been friends for years now, and I drove to Vegas because he was going to be there. I shook hands with him, and it was cool to meet Joe for a minute. And in all these years, he's never come to me for an animal or anything like that.
Oh,
But yesterday he bought one from my daughter. So it's
I
like,
gotcha. Got him.
yeah, no, she created fire, and there was an animal he couldn't live without. So he called me and said, "I need your daughter's phone number," and I'm like, what?
Excuse me, sir.
Oh, she's a gecko breeder, my squishy geckos. That's Samantha. And he was like, please have her call me, give her my number, whatever. And then, yeah, boom.
I think Joe was like in between
They're,
that.
they're
Uh,
twitching.
yeah, that little bit of jealousy, but then that like
Yeah.
my daughter's a badass, kind of thing. When he
No,
called me, he's like, "You'll
no, it's
never believe who got an animal from my daughter."
all competition. She's going down.
Oh, I
That's
know, I know. I'm teasing.
yeah. I'm actually really proud of some of the stuff she does. It's pretty cool.
And her photo taking is really good too. I love her photos.
Yeah, she took over. I used to do my own photos, and now I'm just useless in that area because of her. So,
Yep. And Clint's right.
I
He
think
bought it as soon as she posted it.
yeah, no, that it was less than 10 minutes. Clint is right. I'm gonna wait for hopefully Mr. Scott to get back here. He'll be here in a minute. So that's
Can you hear
rolling
me?
into my next question. Though I can't hear you, bud. I can hear you just fine. What then would you say would be like your biggest pet peeve when it comes to your people in the hobby, people you look up to, or how you see things going with them or with others and them?
And
What's
you always
A
hit the
pet
negative points, don't you?
a
oh, go
pet
ahead.
peeve.
Pet peeves.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude. I had
Can I go first?
yeah.
I
Yeah,
just want to see
please.
more cheerleading. I want to see less negativity, like was talked about earlier, and more cheering each other on. So
Yeah.
It's fun supporting each other. Yeah, support is basic for it's all there is for me.
Mhm.
What else am I gonna do? Get on and we have enough bandwagons to take care of the riffraff. I want to
Yeah.
support people.
Man,
Yep.
it's true. What about you, Josiah? Pet peeves?
God, I don't know, man. I pretty well
Yeah.
touched on it earlier. Honestly, like just the weird arguing on the internet. It's just so bizarre. That's why I just don't comment on anything. I go to I love Instagram. It's just photos and people
Yeah.
enjoying the actual, like, this is what we're trying to do. This is it. Really, what it comes down to is a beautiful, healthy looking animal. And
Yeah.
just and a lot of times you're not gonna scream at people to change their minds. Like, I would like to see less of that type of stuff. Just no more attacks, please.
Yeah, I would say that's a pet peeve of mine, is not being able to change their minds. Not people who are not open to discussion, people who are,
Not gonna change.
I don't know, like, because like, nobody's going to be perfect, but I would say that every single person on here is redeemable, in any way, shape, or form. I'm gonna throw myself under the bus, as an example. So several years back, I hope I don't. Yeah. Anyway, several years back, I bought a gecko from somebody, and it was a weird exchange. I was having a really bad moment, and it had nothing to do with buying the gecko or the hobbyist. And I didn't even know who this person was. All I know is that I had just had an exchange that was really bad, and then I felt like I was having another one online, and I wasn't. And so I responded extremely poorly, and almost like to the point where I hung my head in shame. And I was like, all right, one of these days, if I ever get around to making friends with this person, I'm gonna, literally stand there and apologize. And I'm not gonna call them out because that's not fair, but because they didn't do anything. But I had and so as a pet peeve, I guess, just bringing that up, it's like, I wonder if that person hates me, and I already know that they don't. I'm not going to say why, but I do know that, and it's kind of cool, because it's an inspiration, it's a redeemable thing. I'm sure they considered I might have been having a bad moment, but I don't know. I can't wait to feel a little closer to the person and just be like, hey, I want to make sure that I bring this up, and hopefully I'm redeemable, and I'm cool with you, and I've noticed that you've been supportive of me ever since. So it's yeah. So just knowing that you can, like, royally fuck up, which I did. I totally did, and it crosses my mind all the time, just because I advocate for not doing it. And to sit back in maturity, they could have taken to the internet and been a keyboard warrior, and that didn't happen. You know, um, they also probably don't sit around fucking obsessing about me and what I said and how I was, which is great, because that would be embarrassing. If I felt that in any way, shape, or form, I think I'd want to hang myself. But anyway, yeah, no, as a trying to do better, trying to think better, more clearly, and remember that just because you're going through something doesn't mean you're going through it with that other person. But yeah, so that's what I meant by that. Which leads me to my next one. Scott, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right, cameras out.
Sure.
How?
I'll back out. I'll back out and try to come back in. But
No, you're good.
No,
okay.
We're here.
Perfect.
Let
Yeah.
listen to the question. And then you can do it if you want. How would you like to be remembered? So, Josiah, earlier you said something about 40 years, and I was like, 40 years. Okay, challenge accepted. And 40 years. How would you like to be remembered when you're done in 40 years?
I don't care.
You don't care to be
Dude, when I'm
remembered? Is
gone,
that
dude.
introvert thing?
I don't care.
Yeah.
I I hope like right now, like people are happy with me, and like I just while I'm here, just be, I
Yeah.
just But I think I'm pretty good at reading a room. Like I think if I started going the wrong way, I'd I could bring myself back to center. But
Yeah.
no, yeah. Do I have aspirations for going that far out? Sure, yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think like that with my main gig and then stuff like this. Like, uh, I guess if you want me to give you an answer, just I don't know, just nice, like just kind. I don't need anything more than that.
I've never heard one unkind thing about you. So that's kind of cool. Jen, how do you want to be remembered?
I feel the same as way Josiah. I don't really care, but if I have to say anything, just I would like to be in a position. Obviously, I will at some point in time, to where I'll be remembered as that person that people could go to, and not just in the gecko world, like just in general. But yeah, like being a supportive person, somebody who can share some knowledge. Um, so never really thought about it, but because I don't care.
Yeah, Scotty.
Like me
Uh,
now, I don't care about later.
I just hope I can make a graceful exit, and anybody who has an animal from me, I hope they can be proud of it.
yeah.
Yeah, bunch of satisfied people that ever had to deal with me, whether it was through animals or other. That's a very good answer. I hope I don't leave the hobby or this world with more people thinking I was a piece of crap than a nice guy.
Pretty much it.
Yeah.
Oh man, you got to try to keep your composure with Josiah talking. It's not an easy thing to do. Um,
What are you talking
no, that's good, man. I like that. I have aspiration towards trustworthiness with people. I would just prefer people saw me as somebody that's never gonna like screw them over or lie to them. That's about it. Um, other than that, who I am as a person, I already know I'm that. So that's something that I'm already seen as. But in the hobby, these are people who are getting to know me slowly, and hopefully that chance is ever given just to kind of see who I might be. For me, yeah, Derek, you're a hippie, buddy. You gotta get yourself a haircut, man. Get them all cut. That's probably a better idea. All right. Top five.
That's right. That's right, Clint. Sorry. I like his comment.
Jumping in the air in the gecko
I
pumps.
guess I shouldn't have said cheerleading, cheering each other on. They keep
Yeah.
picking on me about it, but it's
I'm
all
pro
good.
more cheerleaders. Here, I'll say it here first.
Yeah.
uh, that's great. I'll have to get some pom poms now.
Yeah. So let's think of some kind of top five moments as a breeder with your animals, whether it be something you saw when you were watching a podcast, listening to a podcast. I know that I have. I know everybody will know this. I'm going to, of course, say, hopefully, Evan from Strength and Leos, but I usually have that on in the background. And it's because, like, when he does these, it's not visually recorded and you can listen to it, in your ear while you're at work. And so it's multiple episodes per person, which is
He,
kind of
he,
cool.
he is very good. He's very structured in his approach to all of
Yeah.
this, and they're very good podcasts. Yeah. Is he still making?
I think I've seen, so I'm still in the middle of them, so I don't know.
Are you?
I
Okay.
remember looking at it and thinking,
I'm pretty sure I've gotten through all of them, and I haven't seen any in
yeah,
a minute. So.
yeah, but it's also a way to keep informed. Like a lot of us don't know a lot of stuff, and there's always rumors. But I've noticed that if I would just put on one of Evan's, like let's say a rumor hits and it's not very good, that's actually kind of cool. A cool thing that I go through where I'll put his podcast on and be listening to it. Next thing I know, it's like the question was answered, usually by the person they're whatever talking about. And then like there was a rumor about a guy, and I couldn't think of his name because I don't interact with him much. But I was told the other day, like, what? Are you crazy? But it's suburban gecko, Chris Charlton. I know exactly who he is now because I was like, everybody was like, "Are you out of your mind?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So, but yeah, I was listening to him, and he had multiple episodes, and then I remembered. Why do I feel like the way his tone was and the way he was answering questions and things like that? I was like, I've interacted with this dude. So I went on Morph Market because you can always look up your old purchases. And I pulled up our thing, and I had bought an animal from him, and I forgot. I have the animal, and when it came to me, the tail dropped. And so I asked him for future, not, oh, hey, man, you made the tail drop. Nothing like that. That happens. But if you have any tips for me on how to make a tail not drop, to send them my way. And he gave me a very straight and direct answer. And I remember like I was sitting next to somebody who thought that was a dick thing to say. And I was like, no, it wasn't. I actually prefer people to be straightforward and just be like, yeah, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about it. You're right. And then move on with my life. So that was kind of cool. And I didn't even realize that that's who that was at first because I don't interact with him or anything as of now. And I didn't really know who he was, but I definitely know who he is now. And I'm actually listening actively to that podcast, kind of going through this week. And yeah, no, he's a very straightforward dude. And it triggered a memory that I did have with him. So that was cool. That's one of my, probably top 5 moments as a breeder is just like listening to a person, and then there they are. What about you guys?
To touch on Chris on those podcasts, because I've listened to all of those as well.
Did you?
Yeah. The two things that he has said in multiple podcasts that have always stuck with me is we're not curing cancer here. I love that one. And then it's a marathon, not a race, when it comes to the breeding and the long-term success of the projects or the business. And I just remember those two very vividly from when I was starting. Those podcasts came out pretty early on when I got back into all of this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's actually pretty good. And he does a good job. I've been looking into him lately, so I can kind of get to know who he is as a breeder. Scott, you're here. Sorry, man, your screen's black. Top 5 favorite moments as a breeder, things that stand out to you. Maybe they happened in your room with another situation with another breeder. What do you got?
My first pairing, that's probably number one. I only got one good egg out of that pairing, and that took me to the next
one, baby.
Yeah, that's all I need. That was cool. Each time I get to enjoy a podcast, to join one and participate, there's I always get a kick out of that. Even if I'm in and out, getting booted all the time, like today, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
On the phone, I mean, harken back to phone conversations. You get a little more out of that. You buy a gecko from somebody like Chris, you get some phone calls, and you get to ask questions that.
She kind of reminds me of something when you said the phone call thing, and I think I was the first one to bring it up. I've listened to many podcasts where people are like, "Hey, just reach out. I'll talk to you." And I've reached out to almost all of those people, and I felt like a crazy person by the end of the text message. They did not want anything to do with me, and I was like, "Holy crap!" I was like, "Don't tell people that you want to communicate like openly in public like this, and then not follow up on it." Like, that was so bizarre. And what's funny is at least 2 of those people that I remember reaching out to, I don't think they actually do this anymore now. So,
okay.
Yeah, I'm not gonna just willy-nilly give my phone number out, but like if you message me on Instagram or something, like I'll talk to you. I'm not gonna give you short answers. I'm not gonna just leave you there. If you don't come off as completely like lunatic, I'll probably give you my number. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Just reach out to me. I'll give you Josiah's number.
I was gonna say I willy-nilly give out Jen's number all the time. Um,
Josiah's like, oh crap, no, I'm really not going to give your number out.
I hate
So
to do
funny.
this.
Joe, you better not.
I need to take a
me and
second.
Jen had the same idea there. I'm
To
going to
jump
give
back,
Reese's.
to jump back in, I did produce one gecko that is super memorable to me. It
Yeah.
was that translucent. You know what I mean? I know some people call it anemic,
Okay.
but it's damn cool, and it's producing. It actually survived. I know several people who've had them, and they always die within like the first month. It's
You
the
still
only
have it?
I know of that survived, and its babies are killer looking too. So, I don't know why mine survived. I have no clue, but it's something. It's number 2 on the list of 5 that I can't get to. 5
Yeah.
things. That's the set number 2, but it's a freaking cool looking animal.
Yeah.
It's like
That's awesome.
Clint said we made Josiah leave to change his number. I just texted him too and asked him where did he go.
He said he'd be right back.
I didn't catch that part.
Yeah. All right. So Reese said, I don't know if I need my reading glasses, but it says here, give out my number willy nilly, please. Is that what that says?
No,
All
he
right,
said, nah, give it to me.
I'll type his number in. No worries, guys. I got you. Who wants Reese's number? All right. So, Scott, I want to try to get you back on screen if we can. Any ideas?
Yeah, I'll jump
Because I
back in.
want to talk about Breeders' Cup on Instagram, and I kind of want your face as a part of it.
Okay.
What do you got going on?
I'll jump right out, and then I'll try to hop back.
10-4. Meanwhile, let's make Jen very uncomfortable. Jen, how you doing? You doing all right?
I'm good, Joe. How are you doing?
Yeah. So what would you say pushed you into becoming a breeder? What stands out?
Just realizing all the different. Okay, so going back to my teenage years, I had my first leopard geckos, and they were just plain standard leopard geckos. And then seeing all the different colors, and at the time, this is what's in my mind: the colors, the patterns, all the things that we have now. And I gotta ignore Reese because I'm gonna drive over to his house here in a minute. But all these things that I thought was pretty cool. And obviously, my daughter Bree, she's the one who wanted to have a leopard gecko. And I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And she just kind of threw me back down that rabbit hole and seeing knock him out. I'm telling you, I'm trying to ignore those comments. But yeah, so that's really what pushed me into it. And then we went to our first reptile show and we bought our first official breeders, and obviously doing research and watching videos. And I stumbled upon a couple of well-known people for whatever reasons, but Matt was the main one that I really started watching his early videos and just kind of learning as much as I can and soaking in as much as I can, and watching some other people too. And then seeing Matt for the first time when he showed up at a expo, showing at an expo, and there's Matt. I'm like, oh, okay. I watched this dude on YouTube. So yeah. And then just, being able to have all the support from you guys, and the people know who I'm talking to, that I can reach out has pushed me to continue obviously doing this. And because my first experience wasn't great with my first animals, and I could have easily gotten out at that point in time, but as my cheerleaders who kept me going.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
All right. Scott, you're here. And while you're here, I want to give you this one. So I had a couple of questions. Obviously, you started the Breeders' Cup, the U.S. Breeders' Cup on Instagram. Was it just last year?
It's let's see, we're on year 3.
Really? Wow.
I'm trying to even remember, but
I am a bad friend. I actually just heard
I
about it
was
last
so
year.
upset I didn't win the first year. I didn't even submit anything the second year.
You did last year though, didn't you, Josiah?
The very first year I did. The second year I did not. I didn't submit anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for
I'm
participating.
holding to it too. That's exactly the reason why. I'm not lying.
That's competitive.
Who were your judges last year for 2023?
Last year, oh shit. John Scarborough, Micah, and Brett from Bayside.
Right on. That's actually a
That's
pretty
good
good,
people too,
pretty
man.
good dais right there. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's kind of a big deal. And your winner, I think it was Bubba, right?
Yeah, and he's going to be, the winner is if they're willing to be the judge the next year, that's what they get.
Oh, that's
That's
very cool.
awesome, man. Yeah, I now that I know about it, I'm going to submit every year. I thought it was really cool. I was when I saw it and I saw that it had been going on for a while. I was like, seriously, how did I not know about this? Because I know you. And yeah. So this year, when are you kicking this thing off? What kind of stuff are we looking forward to?
I think July 1st. I try to leave it for the last half of the year. The beginning of the year can be kind of hectic with breeding and everything, but
Yeah.
That makes sense. It's given time for things to hatch out too.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
People get their stuff rolling.
At least most people. So
Uh-huh. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
it goes till December, right? December 1st, we do the drawing, or not the drawing, but the judges take their pick, and December 7th, the winner is announced.
Okay.
So it gives people time to grow out their animals.
Now, last year, how many prizes was it last year, and kind of what were they? What were people looking at winning?
It's really kind of I'm open to changing things and kind of making some alterations. The primary goal is to keep it simple. So basically, winner takes all. If for whatever prize there is, I know this year, um, leopardgeckos.com is going to donate some Ron Tremper books to all three of the finalists.
Okay.
Like I said, all that is basically it can change at any moment to who gets what. Um, I think we're gonna do another Geckoverse podcast when we get closer, like you mentioned, and I'd like to have a little more of the detail pounded out by then. But
Yeah.
um,
That explains the date you chose.
right before
Right
it
on.
kicks. Yeah, because I really this year's a little different. Normally, I put up $500 of my own money for the winner. Each year previous, that's what
Mhm.
the winner got, and along with you know um, rainbow mealworms will kick in. Ship Your Reptiles, All Pro Shipping, they kick in a little discount for the winners.
Yeah.
Kind of not sure what.
Geckoverse podcast will be donating to that to help you out with that. I don't want you to have to put up all that by yourself. That's
Cool.
actually a really cool thing. Um, that's all
it
right
seemed
with
like
me.
quite that's just for all three or for one individual
For the winner.
for the winner.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah.
You might
Yeah.
want to enter in this year, Josiah.
I know.
Well,
wait. If I win, I'm donating a firebolt.
there's I actually kind of had an idea. You and I've been kicking around how we can potentially use Discord to host this thing, and I know that we go back and forth, and in the end of our conversations, it almost feels like it just doesn't make sense. So I was thinking about just asking anybody watching, or if anybody's watching in the future, if you think of a way and you know more about Discord than I do. It's a chat server. It's pretty cool. There's quite a few people in there, and um, the point of Discord is not to be in charge of a chat server. It's just so people can have a place to go where there's a ton of people in the community and they can chit chat if they want to. I feel like Instagram is much bigger and the platform's already established. So that's why I don't think it makes a lot of sense to do it. But if I can make it make sense, I would do it for you in a heartbeat. I don't know. And so if anybody has a way that they could help me come up with an idea, I'd like to take it to Scott. Um, and just see, hey, this person is smarter than me, and they told me I should try this out. Um, so, is there a reason why it's just one person wins everything? Couldn't there be like a separation of prizes if you're going to have so many?
Yeah, but it just adds more, right?
Oh
Every
yeah.
time I've had some great ideas
Mhm.
presented to me, like maybe each morph has their own award, so on and so forth. And I like to streamline it. It's extra work on my part, and even with what I'm doing now, sometimes like I know people will make submissions and sometimes I miss them for and if they don't tell me I missed it, it could be weeks, maybe a month before I post it back up. So it's basically I want to minimize any kind of mishap, right? I don't I
I
want
got
to take
you.
I want to streamline as best as I can.
Mm.
That's the only reason. I'm open to it though. I mean, I just have to find the motivation, I guess. I really don't know. I don't like to be the face of it either. I don't want to be known as the promoter of it. I just want it to be its own thing. That's why I'm not a judge. I don't.
Yeah,
Josiah, it wasn't me. Okay.
You,
you are the base of it.
It's just me.
It's all you, buddy. No,
Yeah, no. And the winners, it's a public vote, which is cool. And the reason we're gonna try to incorporate Discord is to maybe bring some people who don't typically um, do the Instagram. Maybe Facebook. Other parts of the community that are more than welcome to join. I don't tell anybody no. They all get 3 opportunities to make an entry, so it's not flooded with 50 geckos from one person.
okay.
That helps streamline things. Even that it can be hard to keep track of.
I'm gonna go in with one entry this year, and it's gonna be with Thomas's animal that I got from him, and I'm gonna win.
Did you
So
read it? You produced it?
no,
Oh,
no, he
sorry.
produced it, but I bought it, so it's mine, my hard-earned money.
Yeah, that's another rule. All right,
It was a trade, but I
I
produced
think
what
you
we
have to
traded.
produce it, right, Scott?
I'll put Thomas's name on it.
Physically
I
has to
really,
or doesn't
I
count.
really, really just want to win with Thomas's animal. It's my animal now. My camera is
We'll
the
have to see
reason
how
that I
much.
would
No.
win. So
Clint,
I did produce. I bought the camera. I didn't produce
yeah.
it.
Just so you know, Scott, in case you missed it, Clint said that he'll throw in a sterling silver gecko necklace as well.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, anybody who wants to sponsor or donate, I'm thinking I'm trying to maybe give them I don't know, maybe a post or a story to thank them. Who knows? I don't know. It's me and Joe are gonna have some conversations, nail it down, and anybody's input is welcome too.
Hell yeah!
Even right now, if he has any idea, put it out there.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. I actually look forward to that too. Did we say end of June we were going to be going over that?
First.
Yeah,
Okay.
around the end of June,
So
July.
we'll be having
Just
you.
the last half of the year, we want to kick it in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so that's awesome. Hey, look, you stayed on the entire time. That's really cool.
We did
Glad I
it.
had that on there. I'll make a really cool clip with that later too. That'd be awesome. Josiah,
What's up, buddy?
I got an animal from you.
You did?
Yeah, a little while ago, and it was a het cipher, firebolt, and I had an animal that we have, very very colorful het cipher that was paired to a sort of clown animal that I'm positive there's no eclipse in, and I paired those two, and they paired, and she's laying eggs, and some
Oh,
of
you're
those
about to
eggs
tell
are
me
going to
you got
be.
it.
Those eggs are going to be hatching any minute now. Hopefully
Very
they
good.
make it.
Hopefully you're having better luck with your ciphers than me. My hets are not giving me ciphers this year, which is so funny because last year, my double hets, I was hitting cipher like so much. So
Yeah.
it was bound to happen with the coin tosses here. So
Yeah, you know who's hitting cipher like crazy right now is Reese, House of Reps. I always want to say House of Herps, which is probably where he should have gone with that name because it rolls off the tongue. But he has his own ideas. And but House of Reps,
but he's wrong.
he's hitting cipher every other day, and I've yet to hit one, so I'm kind of like just all right, cool, man, good for you, dude. Good for you, guy with random name, but yeah, House of Reps. if you go to his Instagram and take a look at it, it's every other day. He even hit 2 Tremper ciphers almost right back to back, which is kind of cool. I did that last year and I was excited. So we repaired those this year and we're shooting for males. But yeah, so I should be seeing the ones that I paired with your female any minute now. And hopefully, we'll see something cool.
It'll be fun.
Your
You
het
can have a
ciphers.
Breeders' Cup.
Yeah. Your het ciphers. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about those, though. Have you noticed anything about their growth rate that you would say stands out?
They are very healthy, robust animals. That's what I say.
Yeah.
They by far are the healthiest animals in the collection. There's no
Yeah.
question about it.
Isn't that the weirdest thing, though?
No,
Like,
it's not. It's not at all.
Is that John Scarborough?
It's mostly like wild DNA in them. They're like from his. Yes, it came out of Marble-Eye, but it was also from like what was it? Do you remember the subspecies or species? Species, excuse me.
I don't. I just know it was from byproducts of Marble-Eye animals.
Yes.
I don't remember the species.
Anyways, it's just they were really robust animals to begin with. They didn't have 40 years of people trying to make them more orange in them, you know.
Okay.
So that's my biggest thing is like I think that's just why they're so strong and they're bigger.
Yeah.
And the other animals in the collection are obviously healthy and stuff, but there's definitely a vibrance to them, you know.
Yeah. Have you noticed the lavender patches? And they're all banded, right? Hets. Have you had any that are not banded, but they're het for cipher?
Not banded het for cipher.
Yeah, what I'm saying is my hets. They're all banded animals, but it's like a lavender. You know, it's like this lavender patch.
Yes,
with
if you look at the subspecies he's used, they have those lavender tones in them naturally.
Okay.
So
I feel like I can almost spot it.
That's why you're seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah. It just I feel like I can spot that het almost anywhere because there's also I know this is going to be something that people are like, oh, okay, but there's a shine to them that's not in all my animals, banded or not. There's like a kind of like a crispness. I don't know how to describe it actually, but
you said identify a het. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's not a visual animal. That's exactly what I mean. Is that when I'm looking at them,
I have 66% hets that look the same as they're potentially het or not het. Like they have those lavender tones to them. They're not unique in any particular way. Like you could tell it came from that group, but
yeah. So what I'm saying is when I have a 100% het cipher, it's one allele. It's not something that's a visual cipher. I feel like, like you said, I know it's robust. The animal's going to be huge. All of mine are, I have a couple that are not as big, but they're very hardy, very healthy animals. But I feel like personally, I can see a difference in them and I can tell that they're het cipher. It's just something I keep talking about with other people. And it's kind of one of those things that I think that I'm going to start I'm going to photograph them year by year and go over the stages. And then I want to compare them to other animals that are het for other things and just say, is there some way that people aren't seeing what I'm seeing? You're saying you don't see it?
I do. No, I'm saying I do see it, but what I'm arguing is why you're saying you can identify that as a het. Like,
no. That's not what I'm saying. Sorry.
Okay, yeah, be very clear on that.
If I know that the animal is het for cipher, what I'm saying is I can also look at it and I'm like, for example, the animal I bought from you. You posted it. I looked at it. I did not read anything underneath it, and I said that is a het cipher.
I hear you. But if I if I threw up a 66% het though, you would look at it and think you're like, oh, you could say it's from cipher stuff for sure.
Yes.
Because the base genetics of it are very wild, like they're very natural looking, and so it's going to be very strong. That's all.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying, oh, look at me, I can see hets.
Yeah, I got you.
That's not what I'm saying. So, like, I knew your animal was a het cipher without realizing or reading.
Even my cipher crosses, like I look at those animals and I know I know where it came from. It was from it stems from the cipher stuff, just because they look completely different. The first generation too, they're huge.
Yep. Yeah, I got a wild caught that I got.
Hey, there you go. For Scotty.
For Scotty.
Definitely.
Is Scotty a no-go zone?
No, I'm here.
No. Okay.
Oh, we keep calling you Scotty. Sorry.
Since
Oh.
Matt's throwing that out there, Reese had asked me if I could get this addressed. So he's curious about for the Breeder Cup, maybe doing some categories like tank, snow, etc., things like that. Best Tremper, best Bell, best Rainwater. He just is curious and wanted to kind of see how you felt about that.
It's something I've thought about before, right? But kind of like when you start spreading out like that, it kind of with one winner, it's kind of like less less of a turnoff for me, right? I just don't want more gripe. I don't want anybody to be too upset. It's like, winner takes all kind of thing. The best of the best. I rely heavily on the three judges to do, like this year we got Ron Tremper. He's
Nice.
out of the country, and I want the judges to do at least as possible too. I'll think about it though, and if anybody wants to DM me with an idea how I can structure that and make it a little easier.
You got Ron Tremper as a judge?
He's a judge this year.
I'm still stuck on that too.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
insane. That's cool.
Yeah,
I know he's retired. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, he's a judge. Heidi and the last year's winner, we all know, David. He's going to be a judge too. He's a big help. As far as I like the category idea, but it sounds like a lot of work to me.
Well, maybe Reese can come up with some ideas and send them your way.
Hit me up, Reese. Let's.
Yeah.
Honorable mentions was David's idea, and I started to do a little bit of that, but even then, it's like, because there's personally, I would want to do everybody as an honorable mention because I see so many nice animals on there. It gets too. I don't want to do 90 honorable mentions and leave 10 people out. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. I don't want to really. It's not an exclusionary process. I don't want to push people out of enjoying the entry for what it is. That's my only hurdle. Is I don't want to make it something where people are not enjoying it or turned away. It's really just an opportunity for everybody to share their animals. That's the primary purpose. The winner is a byproduct, really. It's just, it's luck of the draw.
I like your style personally. Like I think it's really cool. Like you tell those submitters your 3 favorite animals, your best pictures, your best animals in your eyes. You put it out to everybody to see. You have 3 individuals that get to choose because they won something last year.
Mm-hmm.
And then isn't there a secondary voting part too for the public, or no? Am I wrong on that?
Yeah. The 3 judges, did they just pick their favorite animal?
So they each pick one,
mm-hmm.
and then the public. Yeah, it's perfect, dude. Yeah. It just kind of gives you a sense of like where everybody is as a collective, like, because you submit what you think is your favorite,
Right. And the judges can do whatever criteria they want. I couldn't care less if they played favorites. I couldn't care less if they picked on quality of picture and not even the animal. Like, it's their.
Yeah, I think it's cool. I love it. Yeah. So
it's like being on The Voice, judges and then the audience.
Reese says King of the Hill style.
Yeah.
Matt said Turkmenicus, I think it is, right?
Yeah,
tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's right, and that's why you see those weird lavender highlights, and you see them like even in the first cross, you can tell they're it's still there, just deep dominant traits from the wilderness, man.
No, and man, they are. I have so many people that'll ask me, like, is it worth getting into them? And I'm like, yeah, it definitely is. I don't know. I enjoy working with them. I enjoy
Yeah,
having,
there's something to be done with them. There's the eyeball component, and you see a lot of people listing it as like an eye gene, but
yeah,
totally sleeping on the almost genetic reverse strike component, and they're generally just a brighter looking animal in
yeah,
comparison to siblings. So they definitely just seem to have more color to them.
yeah.
Are we successfully getting the eye trait out of it? The marble eye? Has that
No,
happened?
there's its own eye trait is black.
It's
Yeah.
okay. So
Yeah,
there's
Yeah.
nothing. Okay.
yeah, that's why I said that. But yes, I think everybody that's doing these projects is actively looking for marble eye, and trying to prove it out. So there's a whole nother subject to that too that we don't need to get onto right now. But if we ever
Right.
or anything, there's just things people are discussing about the marble eye thing. It's nothing bad to anybody listening, by the way. It's just
Yeah. I'd
um,
be interested in Josiah and actually getting on and like taking some notes with you, going over, some marbleized stuff, maybe trying to, in the conversation involve John, ask some questions about it, and then maybe
yeah,
have that,
yeah,
that,
because he's the guy that knows the most about it right now. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, I could reach out to him and see if we can get on the
Have you
phone and go over,
have you done a decent amount of double hets to, or excuse me, a decent amount of hets to each other?
No, this is my first year doing that.
Is it okay?
I
So
did double hits last year, so yes and no, but
okay,
um,
so
and go ahead.
I've read at least 8, if not 10. At least 8. We'll just use 8. I've bred at least 8 pairs of hets to hets, and I
Yeah,
don't see Marbleye yet. So,
yeah,
and I produced maybe 80 total animals
okay,
from all those pairings, and I had I don't know, I don't remember 10 10
I think
and the rest
I'm a
were all
year. I might be a year behind you. Then the reason I say that is I didn't get them until they were visuals coming, and I just paid
I
for
did
them.
too. I waited for
Okay,
visual.
I thought you okay
I
because
bought a visual. I bought a visual female too. You bought his first visual male, right?
I did.
Okay, so yeah,
But you
yours
would
was
have
a
had
year
them
later.
before me,
So
though,
I
right?
started a year sooner.
That's what I was thinking.
Produced a bunch of and and obviously I got
Yeah,
a little bit lucky because I produced a ton of double heads the first year. So
yeah. I'm
um,
doing that this year. I paired visuals last year, and I threw Tremper in some of them, which is kind of cool because you're proving those out. I wrote them down, um, emailed it back over to John, and said, "Hey, these ones prove Tremper," so he knew. And then, yeah,
what
no, it
was
was.
something proof Tremper?
I'm sorry.
You said something proof Tremper.
I threw the double hets in some of mine, not all of them, but the ones that I did, I wrote down because they weren't 100% het for Tremper. So I wrote it down and sent it back to John
I
and
hear
let
you.
him know that the animal produced a visual Tremper visual cipher. But I didn't do double hets. I did visual to visual. So, um, but yeah, this year I'm doing hets, and we'll see what happens. I think I'm a year behind you,
I gotcha. So I
but
took most of my visuals, vast majority of the visuals, and I just paired them to honestly random males. Um,
did you?
yeah, just pick males. Some have dominant genes, some are recessive stuff, some are just line bred stuff. Um, and then I bred mostly the females. The male that I have one male cipher in the entire collection. Like I only produced one. I put most of them female, and I was able to grab one, and I
Wow,
only paired him to 2 trempers. So most of the females are actually going to be doing the work for me for my for my heads this year.
wow.
So
So you only have one male for everything?
yeah, and I've only bred them to 2 animals ever. I still don't have a good egg out of them yet. I've basically just been using female after female after female.
That's crazy.
So not
Um,
really because I produced double hets 2 years in a row. Like so, why do I keep saying double hets? I keep producing hets 2 years in a row. I
yeah,
got the marble eye thing stuck in my brain. That's why I keep saying double hets.
yeah. Yeah, we should put that together. That would be really cool. And actually, having any input from John whatsoever would be really awesome to do. I'd enjoy doing that with you if you've got time. Well, guys, we are past the 2 hour mark. We've all got lives to get to, so I'm going to go ahead and say thank you for coming on. Scott, you bailed us out, man. Peter probably thanks you. I will ask him later if he does or not. For all I know, you guys are like knife fighting enemies. I have no idea, but I'm sure he
I
does.
love Peter. I love
Yeah,
Peter.
he's actually a pretty cool guy. Josiah, thanks again for coming on, man. It's actually
Pleasure.
always awesome
Anytime.
to be here with you.
I love the gap, so it's all good. Thanks.
Yeah. For everybody who hung out in the comments the entire time, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on to throw some comments. You kept the conversation going. Reese, thank you for some of the talking points. I really appreciate it. Kind of makes things not so structured, which is better for me if you ask me. But we'll be back on every now and then, guys. I wanted to apologize to the crowd or anybody that's seeing this pre-recorded. My work schedule gets a little crazy, and so every now and then if I'm slammed and I can't get off of a job site, you'll notice that the live didn't happen. I don't have time to throw myself onto another social media app and apologize, so I'm just apologizing now, and I'll try to throw a small video. I don't mean to do that to Jen, and I will get on here as often as I possibly can. We're looking into maybe Saturdays, but yeah, I'm doing my best, so thank you for being here, and we'll see you guys soon. You guys do me a favor and stay on. And
Thanks for having me, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.